Welcome in to the 48 Minutes Podcast on Believe. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best hoop analysts in the business. Also joining us is the 2-time Emmy Award winner, Michael Worldby Freer, who's a senior writer at StatFactor, specializing in writing advanced statistical NBA reports for various announcers across the league. This is episode number 192, the Detlef Schrempf episode, as a man with one of the coolest names ever won the league's Sixth Man of the Year award in 1992 as a member of the Indiana Pacers. Now, let's get into our 48 minutes weekend preview, as all of us will be treated to our very first weekend of regular season game action this season. Bruce, Worldby, and I have handpicked 2 games to touch on, so let's get started with Friday night's pick, and this one was certainly an easy one for our show, as it's Bruce's Boston Celtics paying a visit to Worldby's New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Bruce, I'll let you start us off with your game preview.
So both teams will have had one game under their belts before they meet on Friday. Going into the season, these look like 2 teams that'll be separated by probably around 10 games in the standings, with New York, of course, on top. So if Boston somehow steals a win at MSG on Friday, are Knicks fans going to call for Mike Brown to be fired? I mean, obviously not. But oftentimes the tone is set in early season games, and a good start is always essential for a team that considers itself championship material. So, I mean, I think they'll have their foot on the gas big time in New York that night.
Yeah, they certainly should. And it's going to be a great opportunity for them to get off on the right foot with their first road game of the season for the Boston Celtics. But Worldby, from the Knicks perspective, what are you looking forward to on Friday night?
Well, you want to see the impact of Mike Brown's new look Knicks. He's got the same lineup that Tom Thibodeau had, but they want to implement some of the things that Mike Brown's been known for from his time as coaching and as an assistant. The ball moves around a lot. You know, when he was with the Kings, when he was an assistant with the Warriors, no team moves the ball around more than the Warriors, so he was able to pick up on that. That's not really what the Knicks have been doing over the years. It's been Jalen Brunson and the ball in his hands, making things happen. Let's see how it looks right now. They'll have a game against the Cavaliers prior to the game against the Celtics, so it's a nice double header to start off for the Knicks, back to back there. So let's see how they react to the new system that Mike Brown's going to be implementing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Worldby, because this is the Knicks' second home game and their last one before they have to hit the road for a 3-game road trip with stops in Miami, Milwaukee, and Chicago. So, yeah, to take care of business early, get off on the right foot with a new head coach at home is going to be pivotal. This is their last chance to do that before the road trip. I think it's going to be a huge game for New York. And the player that I have my eye on in this game, of course, is Karl-Anthony Towns, because he should be able to cause plenty of problems for the Celtics big men in Chris Boucher and Neemias Queta, who are obviously getting their own first look in a Celtics uniform. A lot of pressure on them to kind of exceed expectations or show improvement. And they're going to be tested here early from Karl-Anthony Towns for sure. And I think given the pace and the amount of 3-pointers Boston likes to shoot, Towns could finish the game with 15-plus rebounds. Don't you think, Bruce? I mean, he's going to have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, but a lot of those rebounds are going to be coming out to at least the foul line. So we'll see if he can take those Victor Wembanyama big steps to get his mitts on something that comes out 15 feet from the hoop.
Very true there. So before we move on here, any game predictions? Bruce, I'll let you start. Are you going to stay optimistic here for the Celtics?
Well, at this point in the season, I'm going to say, I'm going to say Boston's going to steal one at MSG, but I'm not going to be putting any money on it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Worldby?
I'd be a disappointment if the Knicks lost to the Celtics, given the Celtics' current roster. But I will say this. If there was ever a team, I don't care what their injury situation, if there was ever a team that wants to kick somebody's teeth down their throat because of what happened last year, if I'm Boston, I want to really go into Madison Square Garden and, pay some dues, for what happened, a little bit of payback for what happened in the playoffs. So I don't think the injury situation will not be great for Boston. We know that, but I don't think their determination, their intensity is going to be lacking in this matchup.
No, it won't at all. I've got the Knicks for the record here, but there is the chance Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, or maybe even Anthony Simons go nuclear in this one from behind the line. So keep an eye out on them and don't let them get too hot, or the Knicks might have some problems at home. Now, switching gears here to Saturday night, we've got the reigning champs in the Oklahoma City Thunder on the road facing off against a new and improved Atlanta Hawks team. World B, the Hawks season schedule wastes no time to see how exciting this core matches up against the best of the best as they're having to go up against the champs here early on. So what's your takeaway from this matchup coming up?
It's a tough matchup for the Hawks, not just because they're playing the defending champs, but you got this follows up a game they're playing at Orlando right before then. So you're talking about playing two of the best defensive teams in the league from last year, back to back. That's a real tough assignment for a team that's still learning each other. Trae Young really struggled offensively with playing with Porzingis. So that's got to, during the preseason, I mean, that's got to change obviously for the season to begin. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Hawks can finally do it when they got back-to-back games against two of the best defensive teams in the league. Not to mention they play Toronto in the season opener, and Toronto had one of the best defenses in the second half of the season last season. So this offense has to get clicking real quick, and it's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, and Bruce, Saturday night's game for the Hawks will be their third game in 4 nights. So my question to you, you know Porzingis better than anyone, is there a chance he maybe even just sits this game out?
I would be surprised if he set this one out. I mean, maybe, if he has to sit the one out before this, because, I mean, this is a chance for Atlanta to really kind of say, we're here, take a good look at us because, we're serious now. And, it's funny. Atlanta is actually the opposite of OKC. They have a much different cast than they had on the court back in April. Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who happens to be SGA's cousin for OKC, and Luke Kennard joined, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Risa Shea, plus rookie Asa Newell, who I think is going to be really good. It is a new day in Atlanta. But look, the defending champs return pretty much the exact same crew that won it all last season with an overall record of 84-21, including regular season and playoff games. SGA is the MVP, and I can already see the next terrible AT&T commercial with Chet, Jalen, and Shea comparing their championship bling. I mean, wait for it, because I truly believe that one's coming in their pantheon of like really awful commercials for AT&T.
Yeah, that should be coming around the holidays. And yeah, I'll bet the over on that one with you, Bruce. I think we're definitely going to see an appearance of the rings in a upcoming commercial. Now, a player to watch for me, or should I say in this case, players to watch in this matchup between the Hawks and the Thunder, is a pretty easy one. It's the MVP SGA matching up against the Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels. Daniels, as a Monday afternoon, was paid handsomely for his defense and his improvements last year, inking a rookie extension, 4 years, $100 million. So he's got a lot to prove this year that he is continuing to take the next strides in his game to help this Atlanta group take the next step forward. But watching these two go at it, I mean, SGA, the master of the craft of offense versus, Daniels, who's the master of craft of defense. It should be a clash, an early on season clash that should be a lot of fun to watch. But I don't know about you guys, but I still think Oklahoma City takes it to the Hawks and shows them why they are the champions. What's your thoughts, Bruce?
Yes, I totally agree, even though it's a road game. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a big difference between these two teams, even with an improved cast in Atlanta.
World B, what's your take?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Oklahoma City, even though they're playing on the road, Atlanta is going to be juiced up for this game, but it's their third in 4 days to start the season. That's not an easy task. I don't care if you're playing at home. That's a lot of games. And against, as I mentioned, a lot of tough defenses to battle. So I'd be surprised if Oklahoma City didn't pull this one out.
Well, we've talked a lot about both Bruce and World B's favorite teams. So I thought here we could talk about one team that we could pick here outside of our favorites. So Milwaukee's out for me, that we're all looking forward to watching this season. And Bruce, why don't you lead us off with that one team that you have in mind?
Well, I mean, I've been super bullish on San Antonio all summer long. And even though we had Tim Legler on our show recently, he kind of threw cold water on my prediction that I believe that the Spurs are going to win 50 games this season. They only won 34 last year. But, one thing that we forget is that their record would have probably been better than 34 because Victor Wembanyama missed the last 30 games of the season, right?
Yeah.
So if they would have been able to go, say, 500 in those games. I mean, they were 11-19 in those games that he missed. So if they would have been able to go, let's say 15-15, that would have put them at 38 wins. And if you think about going from 38 to 50, that seems a lot more doable than 34 to 50. So I've predicted Wemby, like everyone else on the planet, to be Defensive Player of the Year this season. They get a full year of De'Aaron Fox. They have, Stephon Castle. They have old reliable Harrison Barnes. They have Devin Vassell. They've got Keldon Johnson. They've got a, hot rookie, that will hopefully get some playing time, number 2 overall pick. So I'm looking at San Antonio, and I really do feel that could be a 50-win team this season.
Now, before we move on to World Beast pick for this, Bruce, I got to ask, friend of the show, Luke Cornett, did you see the nickname that came out for Cornett and Wemby online?
No.
French Vanilla. And the Cornett already says he loves it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
French Vanilla. That's the combo down low for the San Antonio Spurs when it's Cornett and Wemby lineups out there. And Cornett, when he was on our show, says he loves to be a jokester. He goes, you know what? I might have to add that one to my joke list because I like it that much.
Well, when you combine the Cornett contests along with Wemby's actual contests, that's 14.5 feet of center that people are going to have to get to the rim against. So good luck to their opponents trying to get inside.
Good luck indeed. World B, what's that team that you have circled outside of your 2 or 3 favorites that you have in the NBA?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's funny to mention the team to watch because they've won so many titles. But I really think Golden State has one more run in them this season. They're not getting talked about in the West anymore because they're aging. Curry's getting older, Draymond's getting older, Jimmy Butler's getting older. I think they have one more run in them, and I really think they have a shot to get to a top 4 seed in the West and really contend for maybe making the conference finals. You think about it, last season, 48 wins. And they were, I believe, the 7th seed or whatever. But that's just 4 wins less than what the Rockets had, and they were the 2 seed. It was that tight in the Western Conference. So being the 7th seed or the 6th seed in the West wasn't really a real indication of how you did as a team. I keep going back. We've mentioned it before, and I keep going back to this. 22-5 the Warriors were last season when Butler and Curry were in the lineup together. They were 23-8 after Butler arrived. And, they didn't have – they improved offensively in their efficiency. They improved, obviously, defense. They were the best defensive team efficiency-wise after Butler came aboard. That's not, 31 games. That's not a fluke. And I want to see a full season with those guys healthy, see if this was a mirage or if I think it was really something that they can – build on for this season. The young guys, Brandon Podzinski did not have a great season compared to his rookie season. I'd like to see him come back and really have a solid 3rd season. They have more young talent than people give them credit for. I think they have a real legitimate shot at being in the top 4 by the end of the season in the West.
It's another nice pick there, World B. And I've got to say, we've all picked teams from the Western Conference because I'm going with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, there might not be an older team, but there also might not be a wiser one filled with talented stars that have been there, done that, and are now hoping to put it all together for one last championship run together. This Clippers rotation of consists of a former league MVP and a combined total of 33 All-Star game appearances between James Harden, Chris Paul, Brad Beal, Kawhi Leonard, and Brook Lopez. They've got a rising star in Ivica Zubac, who's set to play in his 10th NBA season, but he's still playing within his early prime years at only 28 years old. And speaking of 28-year-olds, they have a newly acquired John Collins, who's now 28 as well, and he is entering the mix on a competitive team looking to make his mark with a good team out west. So that should be fun to see after he's coming over from Utah. And then they've also got other rotation pieces surrounding this group that includes the defensive-minded Chris Dunn, sharpshooter Bogdan Bogdanovic, high flyer and defender and Derek Jones Jr., and spot-up shooting veteran Nicholas Batum. So there's clearly a lot of pieces for head coach Ty Lue to work with here, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out this season and how Coach Lue decides to utilize them all with plug-and-play minutes or when guys need to fill in when there are, of course, injuries that occur with this group. But they host the Suns on Friday night and then the Blazers on Sunday night. So 2 home games this upcoming weekend for the Clippers that I'm looking forward to watching and seeing how they get started out of the gates in the Western Conference. So fun weekend ahead, guys. Really looking forward to our first weekend of NBA regular season action. It should be a lot of fun. And with that, that will do it for this edition of the 48 Minutes Podcast on Believe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with you next week. Be sure you're up to date in 48 on all things around the association. Have a great weekend, everybody.